I found this book. Okay, I found this book and it's called the Holy Bible. I found this book called the Holy Bible, okay, and it has the Apocrypha. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maya and I'm the daughter of the Most High King. How are you doing, son and daughter of the Most High King, brothers and sisters in Christ? How are y'all doing? I am excited today, as you can see, because we are doing something different today. So, let's begin. Tobit, the son of Tobiel, okay, who was from the tribe of Naphtali. Naphtali is among the 12 tribes of Israel. Tobit had a wife, and her name was Anna, and they had a son whose name was Tobias. Okay, I just wanted to put a disclaimer out there. I am probably going to be butchering a lot of their names because I cannot pronounce half of them. But I'm going to just say them to the best of my capability, okay? The dad was called Tobiel. The main character of the story is called Tobit, and the son was called Tobias. So it was 3 T's. I thought that was cool, so I'm just... Anyway, so this story happens at a time where the children of Israel were taken captive into the land of Assyria under the king Enemessar. If I pronounced that right. If I didn't, please do not sue me. I don't know how to pronounce it. Tobit does a brief introduction in the beginning where he says that I, Tobit, have always stood in truth and justice. He always gave his alms deeds, his alms. Alms, I had to research this because I did not know. Alms is money or food that is given to the poor people or to the unfortunate, less fortunate people. He always gave whatever he could. He shared. He was a giver. He grew up like knowing the traditions because the God of Israel, the God that we serve, okay, he has rules, as you know, okay, and at that, before they were called the 10 Commandments, you know them, they were also called the laws of Moses, and they had these traditions that they used to practice that used to set them apart from everyone else. Tobit kept all these traditions even when they were in a foreign land, even when they were taken away from their home. So what happened was the children of Israel, when they were in this foreign land, when they were taken captivity into this foreign land, most of them, I think all of them, according to how he says it, all of his tribe of Naphtali, they forgot who they were. They forgot the commandments that God has told them. And as we know, there's a commandment that talks about you should not worship any other God but me. But the children of Israel, once they were taken away from their homeland and brought into these foreign lands, the Assyrians used to worship these gods. So the people of the children of Israel started copying them and started worshiping this God, and they forgot about the rules. Apart from Tobit remained faithful, and he would travel all the way back to Jerusalem to pray in the temple that they had built. Jerusalem was their main city of worship. That's where their big temple was. So when they had to worship, they used to go and travel all the way to Jerusalem. You know, during feasts and on those festivals, on these holidays, they would go all the way to Jerusalem to pray there and worship there. So when the children of Israel would not go back and would still stay in this captive home and worship the gods, Tobit would travel all the way back to Jerusalem and worship. And one day on his way back to Assyria, the land of their captives, he passed by a town called Media, I don't know, Media. And he left in trust a friend of his called Gabael 10 talents of silver, okay? 10 talents of silver was the currency during this period. Of silver, and said, hey, can you keep this for me until I get back? King Enemessar, the one who brought them into captivity, died. And then arose a king called, and I do not know how to pronounce his name, Sennacherib. Sennacherib. I don't know. I'm gonna call him King Senna. Okay, so when King Enemessar died, King Senna arose, but this king was a little cuckoo, and he would go on these killing sprees, and he would kill a lot of the children of Israel just because he wanted to. He would just kill them and leave them, you know, there without even burying them. And it was a tradition for the children of Israel to bury their own. Tobit, being a faithful guy to all his traditions, he would go and hide and then bury them in secret without anyone knowing, you know, because it was, you know, the king did not allow for them to be buried. The king wanted everyone to see those bodies, but Tobit would go and bury them in secret. And when the king's guardsmen would go and look for the body, kind of like just to see, yeah, the bodies are still there, today you killed I don't know how many people, they would not find the bodies, and they were wondering what is happening to the bodies, until one person was in the town of Nineveh. The town that Tobit lived was called Nineveh. I forgot to mention that, okay? The town that he lived, he was in Assyria, but he was in a town called Nineveh. People who lived there, one of them saw him burying the dead, and he rushed and told the king, hey, the guys that you kill, there's this guy called Tobit who lives here and here. He's my neighbor, but I saw him burying them. So he's the one who's hiding the bodies and burying them. And then when King Senna heard this, he got mad, and he told his kingsmen, go and get him for me, because who told him to go and bury these people? But you know, Tobit was just doing his job as an Israelite. He was doing what they were told to do. But as soon as he heard of the news that the king's guardsmen were looking for him, he hid in fear, because he knew he was gonna be killed. When the king's guardsmen went to his home and they did find him, they took his wife and they took his son and all his belongings. He was in hiding for 55 days. 55 days. He went in hiding for 55 days. And then two of the sons of King Senna killed him, because obviously they did not like his way of leadership. And then they went into hiding too, because, you know, they have committed treason. They went into hiding, and then one of them came back and he took the stead. He took the stead of his father. He now became king, and he appointed one of Tobit's nephew, who was called, I do not know how to pronounce this name, but he was called Acharus. Or Acharas. I don't know how to pronounce it, but we're gonna call him Archie, okay? So Archie, he was the nephew of Tobit, was made like the right hand of the king. Like he was the one overseeing all the accounts. Like he was in charge. He had the signet of the king. So, you know, no one else would order him apart from the king. It was just the king and then him and then everyone else, okay? So once Tobit heard that his nephew is now in charge, he knew it was safe for him to come back, because the king that was looking for him, King Sennacherib, had died. And so he came back home, and Archie gave him back all his properties, the wife, the son, and they were reunited. And he came back home during the Feast of Pentecost. They came back home during the Feast of Pentecost, which is the holy feast for the 7 weeks. So he came back home during this feast, and they prepared this big, they had a lot of food, so they prepared a large meal. And when Tobit sat down to eat and he saw how much the food was, he sent his son to go outside and go and get just, if you find anyone on the street, you know, who's poor and is very observing and knows it's Pentecost, invite them over. Let's come and feast together. Let's eat, let's celebrate. He was very happy. And you see, he was a good person. Like he was a giver, he was a caring person. And his son went, and then he came back. He came back sad. Tobit was like, what's going on, Tobias? What is it? Tobias told his dad that when I went outside to look for people, I saw another one of us hanged. He was strangled in a marketplace, and his body was just there. So Tobit, even before he took a bite of the food, he got up, he went and he took the body and he put it in a certain room. Okay, I don't know which room, but he put it in a room, and then he went back home and he ate in heaviness. He had heaviness, and this is when he remembered the prophecy of prophet Amos. There was a prophet Amos who had prophesied and had told the children of Israel, when you're in captivity, your feasts, you know, your your festivals are going to turn into mourning. They're going to be turned into mourning, and your myrrh into lamentation. And then he cried and wept after he finished eating. He just wept. He moaned for that dead person. He didn't even know him, okay? He didn't know him, but he just knew that he was one of them. He was a child of God who's just been left there. When darkness now came, and when it was a night and he could go hide, could like go bury, now he dug the grave and he buried this man. And the people mocked him. The people were like, isn't this the same guy who was running and hiding not so long ago because of this behavior of burying dead people? You know, he doesn't learn his lesson. They were just mocking him. But Tobit did not care. He did not care for that. So after he buried this man, he went and he lied down because he was tired. He lied down on a courtyard that, you know, next to a wall. And because it was a night, he was not aware that there were some sparrows on top of the wall. There were some sparrows on top of the wall. And when he lied down and he kind of faced up, I don't know how to put this, but the bird pooped on his eye and whiteness covered his eyes and he became blind. Okay? And he went and tried to look for help, but nobody helped him, including his nephew. He went to his nephew to ask, can you send me a physician? Can you send someone to take care of this because I can't see? Nobody helped him. Anyway, okay, so when he became blind, his life went upside down. He couldn't find any work because he was blind, so they started getting poor. And his wife, I don't know, there's some controversies here with his wife. Anna started like working, and I don't really understand what happened here, but she was getting money in a corrupt way, okay? Wasn't lawful way. And you know, Tobit is a guy who stands for truth and justice. So he went and he reprimanded his wife and he said, why are you doing this? Like, that's not lawful. You're not supposed to steal. And the wife was just be like,
you shut up, you're blind, you're not working, you're not helping you. Somebody has to, you know, it was just
it's just that, like, his whole life turned upside down. And because of how poor he had gotten, he was hated now by everyone. Everyone just hated him, you know, and it was just like, I don't know. So one day he got really tired of living. He took himself aside, away from his family, away from everyone. He excluded himself and he went to pray. He went to talk to God, and he basically told God, I don't want to be here anymore. I do not understand why I am still here. And I don't know, this happens, guys, this happens. So he just was wondering why he's still alive. What good is him being here doing to anyone? And basically he was just ready to give up, and because suicide is a sin, okay? He cannot kill himself. He was asking God to just take him to heaven. And then he went back home. He went back home kind of like to now, because he felt as if God was gonna take him. He went back home to distribute the little wealth that he has left. On the same day, there was a girl called Sarah. Sarah was the daughter of a guy called Raphael. And Sarah had enough too, because Sarah had married 7 husbands, okay? Sarah had married 7 husbands, and all of them died before they consummated the wedding. Like, they would get married, they would have a ceremony, and at night when they would go to consummate the wedding, the husband would die before the consummation. She never got married, basically. I don't know, there was something bad that was killing the husbands. This has happened now 7 times. So even her father's maids, because her father was a little bit wealthy than Tobit. His name was Raguel. Raguel was a little bit wealthy, and he had servants, you know, working in his house. And they would make fun of Sarah. They would call her names. They would say maybe she's the one killing his husbands. They would just make fun of her and just say she's cursed and stuff like this. And all these things would disturb Sarah, because it has happened 7 times now. So you can imagine how many times she has had to live with all this. In the Bible they call it reproach, when someone bullies you or just talks bad about you or gossip, stuff like that. So she had just had enough. On the same night that Tobit is praying that God takes his life, Sarah went and also prayed to God for him to take her life too, because she doesn't know why she's here, you know. She just wants to get married. She wants to be a wife. She wants to be a mother. She just wants to be respected. But it's not working out for her. And she's the only daughter. She's the only child of her parents. She's the only child. So like, what good during those days? It was like, what good am I to my parents if I cannot even give them grandkids? So this happened the same night. And the Lord had both of their prayers, okay? Because God hears our prayers. The God of Israel heard both of their prayers. He sent them an angel called Raphael. I don't know why I'm so happy. He sent him an angel called Raphael. Raphael, now, he was sent to heal them. It says here, and Raphael was sent to heal them both. That is, to scale away the whiteness of Tobit's eyes and give Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, for a wife to Tobias, the son of Tobit. See how God works? Okay, these people are they're not even in the same town. They do not know each other. They're both going through problems. They both go to God and pray to God and say, you know what, I'm done. So many problems in my life. Take me away. I do not understand. If you still have a purpose for me, fine. Show me that purpose, because right now I'm so confused. God heard both their prayers and he sent them a helper. This helper was going to heal Tobit's eyes. He would no longer be blind. And he was going to make Sarah a wife. So let's go back to Tobit. When he was done with his prayers and he was convinced that his time to die had come, he went back home to distribute the wealth that he had. The little wealth. He was poor. He was a poor man at this point. So he went and he called his son Tobias. And Tobit chapter 4 has, I don't know if you can see all this. I have highlighted it. I can't read it to you because it's so long, but it's very, very important. If it were me, I'm gonna tell this to my kids. Okay, I'm gonna tell this to my kids, because basically Tobit thought he was gonna die, so he was like telling him now, he was giving him his blessings, and he was telling him how to live life, how to survive on this planet, but still remain faithful to God. It's all here in chapter 4, and I loved it. I loved it so much. And when he finished, he told Tobit, now I want you to go to Media. Remember Media, when Tobit was coming back from Jerusalem, he passed through Media and gave his friend 10 talents of silver. So he told Tobias that I want you to travel all the way to Media. Go and find a guy. What was his name again? Gabael. Go and find a guy called Gabael and tell him that you are my son and that I have sent you to go and collect the 10 talents of silver that I had left in his care. So Tobias was like, okay, but I don't even know where Media is. It was like, I don't know who Gabael is. I don't know where that town is, Media. I've never been there. Like, I don't know. So Tobit told his son, go outside and look for someone, or someone who has been to Media, and bring them to, and ask them if they can take you there. If go, it's basically go find a travel buddy. Go find someone to travel with out there. And Tobias went outside and he found this man called Azarias. But a little side note, this Azarias was the angel that God sent Raphael. So he found this guy. He said, "Hey, what's your name?" And he said, "I'm Azarias." Then Tobias asked, "Do you know Medea? Have you ever been to Medea?" And Azarias was like, the angel of God is like, "Oh yeah, I've been there a couple of times. I've been there like a lot of times. Like, you know, I'm not new to that place." And I also know Gabael. I have once stayed in the house of Gabael, the man that you're going to get the money from. I know him too. And so Tobias was like, "Oh, really? So, oh my, this is, you know, this is good luck. So I'm just gonna hold on, wait for me. Let me go and tell my dad that I found someone that I can go with, that I can travel with." And he ran quickly to his dad and was like, "Dad, I found a guy. He said he has been to Medea and he has even stayed in the house of Gabael. You know, so I found a travel buddy, so like I'm good to go." But Tobit was like, "Hey, wait, hold on, go bring him. I want to see him. I want to know him, and I want to know like how much I'm gonna pay him, you know, because you know, he's doing something kind that he doesn't have to do." So it's like, go bring him. Yeah, let me get to know him. And he went back to the guy, to the angel of God. I'm gonna call him Raphael, but remember, I want you to keep in mind this whole time, nobody knows that he's an angel of God apart from you and me, okay? Tobit, Tobias, and everyone else they will meet do not know that he's an angel called Raphael. But it's just because I can pronounce that name. I can't pronounce Azarias, okay? Maybe I can, I don't know. So he went back and he told the angel of God, "Hey, come on, my dad wants to meet you so that, you know, he can see whether he can trust you or not, or maybe, you know, maybe he knows you." And so, you know, the angel of God was like, "Okay, cool, let's go see your dad." And they went to the dad, and then Tobit was like, "Hey, what tribe are you from? Like, which tribe of Israel are you from among the 12 tribes? Which one are you from?" And the angel of God is like, "Why do you ask me that? Why do you want to know which tribe I'm from? You know, I just want to know to see if I know you. No, maybe I know you, but I have forgotten. Well, maybe I know you. Maybe, you know, me and your father have worked somewhere together. I just want to know if we're related or something." You know, Tobit was just a good guy and was like, "Can I trust you? Who are you? Wait a minute." Azari said that he is the son. Okay, the angel of God made an introduction. He said, "I am the son of Ananias the Great, and of thy brethren." And Tobit knew Ananias. And he said, "Oh, I know Ananias and Jonathan, the son of the Great. We went together to Jerusalem to worship." Like, I see. So Tobit was like, "You see, I know. I told you I would know. I know Ananias. We went to Jerusalem to worship together. He's a really good man. So, you know, if you're his son, if you're his kindred, then you're a good man too. So, like, I trust you now. You can go. So take my son, and I'm gonna pay you your wages when you go, and if you return him safe, I will add even more wages to you." Okay. As soon as everything was settled, they were on their way and they started their journey to Medea, and, you know, Tobit gave his son and the stranger his blessings, and he sent them on their way, and they went with their dog. I don't know the name of the dog, but they says that they went with their trusted companion. The mom of Tobias, Anna was not really sure about this trip. Remember, she did not know what was going on with Tobit, you know. But she wasn't sure, because she was saying, "Tobias is our only son. If something happens out there and he dies, I can't live with myself. He's the only thing that I have on this earth." So she was not with the idea of the son going. But Tobit reassured her, "The man that the son has gone with, I know of him, and he is a good man." And he gave them like a time limit, you know, like, you can go to Medea and come back. If you're not back, I don't know if he'd give him 2 weeks or something like that, then, you know, they'll know something went wrong somewhere. But he tried his, you know, he comforted his wife Anna, and he was like, it's okay, calm down, everything's gonna be fine. So they went on their journey, and they reached somewhere like near a river, and they rest to drink water and to find food. And when Tobias was busy drinking his water, a big fish jumped out of the water, and it wanted to bite Tobias because he was busy drinking his water. A great fish wanted to jump on him and bite him. So, you know, the angel of God was like, hey, watch out. And Tobias moved back, and, you know, when the fish was jumping, the angel of God shouted, kill it. You know, because it was quick, he just stabbed it and the fish died. And the angel of God commanded Tobias to open the fish and take the heart and the liver and the gall, you know, the gallbladder that's on the liver. So take the heart and the liver and the gall and put them safely. And he did that, and then the rest of the meat they roasted and they ate. And so on their way back, you know, Tobias was like, hey man, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do with this gall and the heart and the liver? And the angel said, touching the heart and the liver, if a devil or an evil spirit trouble any, we must make a smoke thereof before the man or the woman, and the party shall be no more vexed. So the angel basically said the heart and the liver were for, if they burnt it, you see that smoke, it would get rid of any evil spirit or any bad man, or, you know, just get rid of any evil. Okay? And for the gallbladder, it is good to anoint a man, he that has whiteness in his eyes. For the gall, it's good to rub it on the eyes of a man who has whiteness, who is blind. Okay? And they will see. So, you know, once he explained all the good things that, you know, the purposes of the heart, liver, and gall, he told Tobias that they're going to make a quick detour, and they're going to see a man called Raphael. Remember Raphael? They're going to see Raphael, who is a cousin of Tobias' dad, Tobit. And this Raphael has a daughter called Sarah. He has a daughter called Sarah. I was trying to remember it. He has a daughter called Sarah. This Sarah, the girl whose husband had died. That's what you're talking about. So he had a daughter called Sarah, and they said that they're gonna make a detour and going to visit them because they are, you know, Raphael was a cousin of Tobit, and he said that he was gonna speak on his behalf and try to convince Raphael to give his daughter up for marriage to Tobias. And the angel of the Lord had to, like, kind of convince Tobias, and because he also had heard that every man that Sarah had married is dead, and he was like, I'm the only son of my family. I don't want to die. You know, my father sent me out here, and I don't want the news to go back that I went on this trip and now I'm dead. You know, the angel of God showed him what to do with the liver and the heart. Remember when he asked what are these for? So that's when the angel said, now before you go and consummate your marriage, once you get married, before you consummate your marriage, take the heart and the liver, burn it, and then that smoke will take away any spirit. And you make sure you pray to God before you consummate the marriage too. Hold your wife's hand and start praying, and then, you know, start with the smoking, and then you can consummate the marriage, and you will survive. You will be alive the next day, and you're gonna have you're gonna have a fruitful life. And I guess Tobias was like, okay, cool then. They went and they met this man called Raphael, and Raphael was like, who are you guys? And that's when Tobias said, oh, I am Tobias, the son of Tobit, your cousin. Raguel had a good look at Tobias. It was like, oh, yes, yes, you are. You even look, you know, like the last time I saw you, you were like a little kid. How is my cousin? How is Tobit? How is everything? And Tobias told Raguel of the story, like, he's well, he's healthy, my mom is healthy too, but he got blind. He's now blind, and like he's not really doing well right now, but you know, he's still there. When Raguel heard of this news, he wept. He felt very sad that his cousin is suffering and he's now blind. This is when the angel of God said, yes, we are here because Tobias would like to take your daughter's hand in marriage. Tobias was convinced, and so by the time he went to see his uncle, he was like, yeah, I want to take your daughter's hand in marriage. Like, Raguel had a wife called Edna, and Edna, you know, the second he heard that he wants to get married to her daughter, she became sad, because she said, haven't you heard, every man that married my daughter is now dead. Like, we don't want to be the ones to, you know, be the cause of your death, knowing that you're the only son of your mother. Because she was a mom, she was like, I know how that would feel to a mom. So she wasn't really sure of it, but I don't know, somehow the angel of God was able to convince them that it would be okay. They did not tell them of what they did, but he insisted that, don't worry about them, they will be okay. Trust me, I know this, they will be okay. Just let them get married. They got married, and then they went to consummate their marriage. And then obviously Tobias did everything that Raphael told him to do, and you know, they burned the heart and the liver, then they prayed and they consummated their marriage, and then they fell asleep. So in the night, the dad was like, he sent his servants to go and prepare a grave, because he knew for sure that he was not gonna make it throughout to the next night, because none of them has made it. So he just knew that he's gonna wake up and he finds his nephew dead, and he's gonna have to send the news. So he was just sad, and he told his servants to go and prepare a grave. And when morning came, he went to check in on, you know, Sarah and Tobias to see, you know, like to go and get the body basically. But when he opened the door, he saw Tobias was still alive. He was asleep, but he was still alive. And he went out and he told his wife, hey, Tobias is not dead. The first one is not dead. Like, they got so excited. He got so excited. If you could read this story, how he got excited. he was like, you know, even when they woke up, he was like, you are not dead. Welcome, my son-in-law is alive. He got so happy, and he told his servants, we need to prepare a feast. You know, the marriage feast. They had to stay there like for 14 days, like to just celebrate the fact that the daughter has finally gotten married and the husband is not dead. So they were just happy. And even after the 14 days were over, the dad, you know, Raguel was still like, oh, don't go, please, stay, don't go. Oh, it's so fun to have you here. Like, you know, they had such a great time. So like the you know, the father-in-law fell in love with the son-in-law. Was like, do not leave, it was so fun, I want my daughter with me and stuff like that. I don't want you to leave yet. But Tobias said, hey, my dad is gonna get worried and my mom is gonna get worried, because they gave me a timeline, and if I'm not back by then, they're gonna think something has happened to me, and like they're gonna start mourning for me because they think that I'm dead, but I'm not. I have to go back home. And you know, when Raguel heard of this, he was like, okay then go, you know. But it was just like, he was so excited. He gave them his blessings. He promised him that even when he dies, his inheritance is gonna go to him and, you know, his daughter. Like, he's gonna give it to them. He's gonna pass his inheritance to them. Raguel, I just love Raguel. They went to where they were going in Media, and they went to that guy called Gabriel or Gabriel, I don't know, I forgot how his name again, and they got the 10 talents of silver. He introduced himself. He said, I am, you know, Tobias, son of Tobit, and I've come for the 10 talents of silver that my dad entrusted you with. And he was like, oh cool, here. And then, you know, they were now traveling back, and now remember when they were coming, it was just Tobias, the Raphael, the angel of God, and their little dog. But this time when they were going back, it was Tobias, his new wife Sarah, the angel of God Raphael, their little dog, and now this time they had even cattle, they had gifts that, you know, they got from Raguel, because Raguel just was like so happy with them, just like, okay, I love you, bye, go. You know, just gave him all this gift. Tobit and Anna are now mourning because, you know, the time limit that they had given their son has already exceeded. It was past. So Anna was just mourning because she knew her son was dead. It was like, it's too late now. They've taken way longer than they needed to have taken, and my son is gone. And she was in mourning, and Tobit was also sad too. And you know, like, Anna would get mad at Tobit and say like, oh, why did you send him? Why? It makes no sense. They were just not, you know, really talking to one another. They were not in a good place. Anna would like go, you know, would get out of the house and go, you know, far away, like the last spot where he saw his son, and she would just wait there and just look, just to see if he could see him again, you know, like just go there and cry there and mourn and just wait for his son the whole day, and then come back home at night, sleep, in the morning do the same thing. But this time when she went out to cry for his son, she saw his son. Well, she saw him and then she ran to him. Tobias saw his mom, and he ran to his mom, and he was like, Mom, I missed you. And obviously they had this moment where they hugged each other and they just loved each other. And you know, when Tobias heard, because Tobias, you know, he's blind so he can't see, but he heard of the commotion in the villages, you know, around him. Were like, oh, the man's son has come back. So when Tobias heard, he was, at this point he was a very old man, so he tried to get out of the house. You know, he's blind, he can't see, so he tried to get out of the house, and then he stumbled at the door and just fell down. But he was just still, you know, looking for his son. And when Tobias saw that his dad was there on the floor, he just ran. Hey, Tobias, you know how, I don't know, he ran to his dad, and he went and he gave him a hug, and he said, you cannot imagine the journey that I have been through, Dad. Like, I have a wife now, we have money, you know, oh, it's so good. Like, so Tobias, when he heard all this, his heart just melted with joy, and he was happy that his son came back. And then he remembered the gall that the angel of God told him to rub on his eyes. He wiped it on his dad's eyes, and he could see again. Oh God, this is such a great story. Okay, I'm just imagining that moment, okay? Like, whoa, all these things are happening. These two people who did not know each other were praying to God that, because they did not understand, you know, what purpose they had in life, because one of them was blind and one of them could not get married. Now she is married to the son of the one who was blind, who can now see because of the gallbladder that the angel of the Lord told Tobias to put on his eyes. Like, that was the story, guys. Like, and then they just lived happily ever after. Tobit, I'm trying to look for how old he lived. So he was 8 and 50 years old. 8 and 50, is that 85 years old? When he lost his sight, which was restored to him after 8 years. So Tobit was blind for 8 years, okay? And he lost his sight when he was 85 years old. If I don't know how to read these numbers, they're usually different in the Bible. And this is the King James version. So I think he was 85 years old when he lost his sight, and he had now been blind for 8 years. So he went back to start, because he could see now. He went back and started doing the things he would do, giving alms to the needy, you know, giving his money, giving everything he can, sharing his food. And Tobit lived on to be a very old man. I don't know how old this is, but I'm just gonna read it to you. He died in bed at the age of 108 and 50 years old. Is that 158 or 185? Or I don't know. I don't know how old that was, but he lived to be an old man, basically. He lived for almost another century. After he got his sight back, and his wife Anna died too, and they were buried. Where were they buried? And they were buried honorably, just like how he buried everyone honorably. And you know, before he died, he obviously talked to his son again, and he told him everything that was expected of him as a child of God, as an Israelite. Told him how he should be burying people honorably, how he should honor his father-in-law Raphael, because especially, and I also forgot to mention, when Tobit had that, you know, his son has married the daughter of his cousin Raphael, he also got happy. It looks like Raphael and Tobit had a really good relationship. They had a really good relationship. Anyway, let's go back. So Anna died, and they were all married together. And but Tobias, so when they both died and buried them honorably, they went back to, you know, Ekbaktan. That's the land, Ekbaktan, to Raphael, his father-in-law. Remember the guy Raphael? And he had become old, and when he died, he also buried his father-in-law and mother-in-law honorably, and he inherited everything that belonged to Raphael and Tobit. So he was a wealthy man. Yeah, and then he also died, you know, after he lived his life, you know, with his wife, and he died at 107 and 20 years old. I don't know how old that is. But before he died, he had heard of the destruction of Nineveh. Oh yeah, I forgot to also mention, before Tobit died, he told his son Tobias, hey, when I die, you have to leave Nineveh, because Nineveh was the town that they lived. He said, you have to leave Nineveh, because a prophet had prophesied and had said that Nineveh is gonna be destroyed. So before Tobit died, he said, after me and your mother die and you bury us honorably, move out of Nineveh, because there's gonna be a destruction in Nineveh, and go back and live, you know, with your father-in-law Raphael. And so that's why he went back to live with his father-in-law, and they lived for a couple of while, but they were also old, and then they died. And he kept on, he lived his life, and before, you know, the Lord made sure that before he died, he had heard of this prophecy coming true of the destruction of Nineveh. Yeah, and that is where it ends. I think that's it. Wow. Thank you so much for sticking with me this whole time. I told you it would be a lengthy one. If you're still here, I hope you have learned something. So let us break it down, okay? Tobit was a giver, okay? He gave everything that he could to the needy. He shared. He was just a good man, and he stood for truth and justice. And even no matter where they were, no matter who was watching him, he still remained faithful to God, okay? You know, he wasn't a hypocrite. He was good from within. Like, everyone knew him. Even though people mocked him and ridiculed him, he was still doing a good thing. And even though these bad things happened to him, you can see how his story turned out. The greatest miracle. Like, his life got so bad that he was ready to go back to his Father in heaven, and he knew he can't. Committing suicide is a sin. You can't kill yourself. God is the only one who gives and takes away life. At his rock bottom, God sent an angel. God heard his prayer, and God also heard the prayer of Sarah, who was also ready to give up. And he sent both of them an angel who would unite them, unite their families, and they ended up being so blessed at the end. They were poor people, but they would give everything that they had to the needy, to the poor. They weren't rich. Tobit was not rich, but every time that he could and everything that he had, he could share with people. He shared his wealth, his food. He was very considerate of others, and God ended up blessing him and his son, the generation after him, abundantly. By the time Tobias died, his family was still secured. And Tobias also continued with his father's legacy. Tobias became a giver. Now that they had even more, that means they could give even more to the less fortunate, to the poor. And that's why God blessed him. God encouraged us. I feel like God now is encouraging us not to be selfish and to be givers, okay, to the less fortunate, because the more you give, the more blessed you become. The more you give, and you have to give it with a pure heart, a sincere heart, like you are truly not giving so that you can be seen that you are a giver. It's giving because you want to help. Let us try to borrow something from this story, okay? Like, let's be givers. Let's be givers in life, okay? Not just always takers. Always asking God, what can you give me? What can you give me? Let's not try to always be the ones receiving. Let's receive. Let's be givers so that we can be given too. Do unto others what you want to be done unto you. Okay? I'm gonna say it. This right here, this is the greatest storybook ever written. Because you know what? These are just not stories. These are real life stories. Okay? This happened for real. These things in here happened. Okay? So that even makes it even more interesting and cool. Anyway, let me wrap this up, okay? Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for sticking around with me during all this. I hope that you're blessed. I hope that you got something from this story. Please feel free to share. Go read it on your own. And this is a story you can read in one day. My guys, it's not that big. You can read it in a day. So feel free to go and get it. Tell your parents, kids, to buy you the Holy Bible with the Apocrypha and read the stories that are in the but read the whole book. But I would suggest starting with the Apocrypha because they have lit stories in here. Anyway, yeah, go do that. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I love you, but God loves you more. And remember, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are beautiful, son and daughter of the Most High King. Thank you so much for existing, and thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.